Yield farming was this idea, I said, for example, you could stick some money into compound, and you'd earn a little yield on that because they might lend it out to somebody else, and they would pay, some interest on that, and compound would share some of that interest with you. So that was what started with yield farming. There started to be a lot of different ways in which you could do similar things like that, where you threw some money in somewhere and you'd earn a little return for it. And the reason they called it farming was because there were enough things out there that people would move money around pretty regularly, chasing the best return. Well, then what happened? I mean, it really kind of, on Ethereum, it really kind of goes back to synthetics last year. They wanted people to have a lot of liquidity on Uniswap, which is this automated market maker. It's this thing that will always buy and sell certain tokens. They wanted their SUSD token to have a lot of liquidity on there, and so they told people, if you'll put SUSD and ETH into Uniswap, I think it was ETH. It might have been some. No, it had to have been ETH. It was SUSD and ETH into Uniswap. Uniswap will give you this LP token to, showing that you have it. If you ping us and show us that you have that LP token that shows you put some SUSD in, we will share some of our SNX, their own native token returns with you. And so, because they're always generating a return on the protocol of SNX. And so this was an interesting new thing, because previously in yield farming, you put in some kind of token and you earned a return in that token. This was an example where you were going to earn a return in that token on Uniswap. That was still happening, but you were also going to. But Synthetics wanted you to do this, and so they were going to reward you with some additional return in their own token. And so that came to be thought of as liquidity mining, because you're getting this new token out of it. That wasn't exactly mining, because that SNX already existed. That was SNX that was just kind of in the system, but it's still, the idea is there, and that got people's um, minds turning. And then it really took off this summer. I think it was June 15th, when Compound announced that they would give people this token Comp for anyone who had deposited or withdrawn money from Compound. And what was really wild about that, so they put that in. I think most people figured that the value of Comp as it came out should be something like $40, is kind of what people thought. So, that's a nice little additional benefit. If you get that, you get a token that's worth like $40. You don't get a full token, but it's just like, that's a nice additional return you can add onto stuff. So sure, this will encourage some more people to put some money in. But then, like, lots more money started being put in. People really wanted to get their hands on Comp, and the token shot up to, I think, over $300 briefly. And even now, I think it's still over 100. I didn't check today yet, but it was over 100 yesterday. So that was just a much more return than anyone expected, and that was a brand new token. So that was real liquidity mining. It was like, you put in liquidity, and you take out this new token. And so that really got people excited. And the wildest thing about that, I don't think this is still true, but it was true for a while. It was the kind of thing where it was so it was so lucrative to participate in this environment, that you could actually make money on a debt, because if you borrowed certain tokens that had a high comp return, you would be, accruing an interest on those tokens that you borrowed. You needed to pay that back, but that interest would be worth less than the value of the comp you were earning from borrowing money, which was just nuts. You were basically getting paid to take out a loan. And that didn't last for super long, but it did exist for a while. And so, obviously, this led to a bunch of imitators, and that's been the story of the summer, is people doing, different variations on that idea.